Select window takes window ID. Now, it doesn't take window title, it takes window ID. And window ID is not something you can actually look up from the HTML. So you can either already know what the ID is going to be, or if you're the one opening the page from your IDE, you can specify the ID. But if you are not doing either one of those, so you don't know the ID, you're kind of stuck. There's actually a command that says get all windows, and then you can actually get them by array. So you can pass in, get me first window or second window or third instead of passing in the ID. You can do that. Additionally, using that debug stuff that I showed earlier today, you know how you get a lot of green? It's actually possible to execute the command, only the command that opens a window for you on the page, and it's actually going to tell you what the window ID is in the debug. Selenium will actually capture the ID of the window and return it to you. Okay. And actually, next class, I'm going to show this because your homework, either this week or next week, is actually going to have you open a window. So I'm going to show you how to do it. For your homework, Selenium actually does a beautiful job, so you don't have to do it, but I'll still show you for future. Okay, focus. Focus is one of those very, very misleading commands. Okay, let's do a little demo. All right, where's my focus right now? Let's do. All right, where's my focus right now? What about now? Login page, right? And if I do it again? Clear. Clear. Okay. Where's my focus? Okay. So the question is, just because I went to a different page, did the focus get removed from the previous task? Yes. Really? Is the focus still in the cancel? I mean, on the clear? Okay, so focus is not the same as select page. Okay? Just because you selected a specific window doesn't mean the focus switched over. And just because you focused on a specific item in the other window doesn't mean your windows get switched. Okay? They're completely independent of one another. So sometimes when people are performing testing and they want to actually switch from one window to another window, they're going to say, oh, just set the focus on the text box there. But that doesn't work. You can set the focus, but you still will be in this window. The focus is just there, right? It's just like, okay, the focus is on the clear button, but I'm not able to click it if I'm on this window, right? It's there, it's not helping me. So that's the misleading part of this. Okay. Highlight is what it sounds like. You basically just tell it the locator and highlights. Focus and window focus. Do you guys understand the difference? Focus on a specific little item or focus on the whole window. And it actually selects the whole window like a tab. Windows maximize. Okay, window maximize is something you probably won't use too often, but it's very cool for debugging. If you're one of those people who likes to see what your script does, once we move to RC, you're going to notice that RC opens a window this big. It's long, but this big. You can't see what's happening. You just see that, oh, okay, a window opened up. And that's going to be very annoying for you because sometimes the scripts run really fast and you want to see, but by the time you move your mouse to open the window, it's gone. So if you include this line at the beginning of your script, it will open big. So you don't have to try to open it. But it's only good for debugging. You don't actually want to abuse it too much. All right, browser operations. Now, browser is what? It's a desktop application. You guys agree? Can Selenium test desktop applications? No. But sometimes we still have to simulate certain things, like go back, right? Or refresh, or open or close window. We still want to do those things. So Selenium lets us actually simulate, even though it's not performing them through the browser, it actually found a way to hook into the browser to perform those things. So it can actually close the window, refresh the window, click the back button, open a new window, or open a new domain in the current window, new URL. Set browser log level. That's a little bit different than regular logging. Your browser also has a log level, like your browser keeps logs of problems it has. So you can actually specify that there.
Can you open new tab?
Huh?
Can you open new tab?
No tab support, unfortunately. Technically, IE treats every tab as a new window, but Firefox, they're kind of weird, so.
So what's the difference between open and open window?
I'm sorry?
What is the difference between the first two, between open and open?
Open in the same window you're looking at, it's just going to replace the URL. It's just going to go to a new URL. But open window will literally open a separate window of the same application. Okay, cookies. Cookies are kind of important, right? Sometimes you want to check how your website responds when there's already cookies preloaded. Sometimes you want to check how it's going to respond when there are no cookies, right? Remembers information, doesn't remember information. So sometimes you want to go in and add a cookie or delete a cookie, or you just want to clear everything out. Now, okay, create cookie takes 2 parameters. Delete cookie takes 2 parameters. What happened here? Right, so it doesn't really care, right? It doesn't care parameters, no parameters, options, no options. So be careful with the last one. Okay, prompt. You guys remember how today you clicked on the exercise folder and it brought up a prompt and you had to enter some information? Okay, that's a prompt. You can either answer okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can either answer something in the prompt, so you type in like, please enter your name, and you can say okay. So whenever you provide an answer, it implies pressing okay. Or you can just say whatever, cancel, don't enter anything, or you can just say okay. Okay? So you have your prompt, you can either say okay, cancel, or okay. There's no such thing as enter something and then say cancel. Okay? So unfortunately, that's something we can't simulate. Check, uncheck. Any questions? By the way, notice how all of them have asterisks. That means you can say check and wait, or uncheck and wait. Sometimes you do have to do that because sometimes you check a radio button and a whole other line of stuff opens up that you can select then, right, or type into. So sometimes you will say check and wait, right? This applies for checkboxes and radio buttons. You can check and uncheck both. Add selection, remove all selections. Have you guys ever seen a list box where you can hold down the control key and say, I want this, and this, and this, and this? Yeah, that's one of those things. So add selection means you just make multiple selections. It's like holding down the control key and saying, I want this, and this, and this, and this. And you can continue saying add, add, add. Remove is like you select all and then you say, I changed my mind, just remove this one, right? Versus remove all selections just means whatever, right? Unselect everything. All right. Type keys, and set cursor position. Type, you guys already all know. You guys know type? What does type do? Does it actually? No, what does it do?
Dispose like whatever was
It
saved.
takes an empty field, or it takes any field, no matter what's in it. And what does it do? Replaces the value in it to whatever you set it, right? Type keys literally simulates going. So after every single input, it actually triggers a key press event. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, why is this important? Let's do a little simulation. What's happening? Every time I press a letter, what happens? Something happens, right? Some event occurs that triggers this to refresh. Do you guys notice that? Okay, so let's do this. I am going to record. I'm recording right now, typing in Apple. Oh, excuse me, Apple. And I'm going to look at what happens. What did it do? It recorded typing Apple, right? Did you notice how when I was typing in Apple, it gave me suggestions? All right. Let me just minimize this a little bit. that's weird. That shouldn't work. It worked anyway. Yay. Okay, they got smart to me. Darn it. Okay, sorry. It used to not work. Now it works. Okay, I have to find a different something that doesn't work. I won't do it now. But yeah, sometimes basically you type it in and it doesn't trigger an event. So that's kind of embarrassing. But I think of something else that uses it. I don't know. Maybe Yahoo hasn't caught up yet. Yahoo, save me. No. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe. Come on, Yahoo. Don't work. Okay, hold on. Let's do a new one. Or darn it. Okay, yes. Okay, never mind. Basically, when you do your homework tonight or the next week, I don't remember which one you have tonight. It won't work for you in the homework. Okay, just typing in stuff won't work. That's what I guarantee. It doesn't work. Darn it, everybody else caught up. So you would actually have to create an event, a key press event. Okay, and in that case, you would have to use type keys. Okay. All right, everything caught up. People are getting smarter. Look at this. So that's the difference between type and type keys. Type actually replaces the value versus type key simulates an actual key press. Set cursor position, that's when you're trying to highlight only a word inside a paragraph or something like that. You can actually set it and then say highlight from here to here or something like that. So it literally places your mouse in a specific position somewhere in the website. Now, form, a form consists of what? What is a form?
Fields.
It's a whole bunch of fields and buttons and blah, blah, blah. So we already have commands to deal with all of those, right? But a form is something you can also submit by saying enter. You guys agree? Okay, so technically you can either say enter, which is press enter key in Selenium, or you can just say submit, and that will submit the form. So that's why form only has one command, submit, because everything else is already something else, right? A button or whatever. Okay, keyboard operations. That's where we're trying to talk about different key combinations that impact the actual website. So for example, if you hold down a specific key, maybe if you hold down the control key, right? And then you click stuff on the web page, what happens? It gets selected, right? Or maybe if you hold down on the map the control key, you get actually the context menu, right? Or if you hold down the shift key, then, I don't know, something else happens on the page. So basically this is a way to simulate, excuse me, either a key press or a key down and key up. Now, a key down and key up are a pair, right? What goes down must come up, what comes up must come down. So if you pressed it, remember to unpress it eventually. But a key press is just kind of like that. So as you can see, the top three are basically what everything else is built upon. Technically, you can do these operations to any key, but they already have some shortcuts for Alt, for Control, for Meta, and for Shift. And Meta on Windows is that little Windows-looking thing, and on Mac is the flower leaf.
So what's the difference between key press and type key?
I'm sorry?
What's the difference between key press versus type key?
Okay, a type key actually triggers an event. A press key is more of a... It's not really typing in this case. It's like Control doesn't type a letter, right? It's more of like, I don't know, how can I explain it? Probably in terms of, if you're going to do a key press for a letter M, probably no difference. But if you're going to do it for something like a carriage return, or I don't know, what else is there? Page down. It's not really typing, right? It's more of a pressing. Okay, click. Any questions? Double click. Any questions? So if you need to double click something on the web page and you're recording, if you go tee-tee, it's gonna say click, click. So So you're gonna have to manually say, double click. Make sense? All right. Context menu is the same thing as right click. Mouse down, mouse move, and mouse out and mouse up are 4 different types of events. So mouse down means click down and hold. Mouse up means remove that finger. Mouse move is when you're just moving it, right? You want to move it from one place to another. And mouse out is kind of like you want to move it from this location out of the location. Like you're just removing it out of the location. Drag and drop is basically a shortcut for mouse down, move, mouse up. Okay, it's just a shortcut. And drag and drop to object is a way that instead of using pixels, you can actually specify a location, like a locator. So for example, pick this thing up and move it to this text box, or pick this up and move this to this table, instead of pick this up at coordinates x, y and drop it at x, y. I know you guys, this is really boring, especially when you don't get to play around with anything, but I'm trying to talk fast, and once we get through it, it's the end. Okay? All right. Click at. Notice how this guy and this guy are very similar. You guys see the similarities between the 2 pages?
Yes.
All right. It's everything you saw on the previous page, but at. What does at mean? It means pixels, coordinate strings. So instead of saying, I want to click at a text box, you are saying, I want to click at a text box 20 pixels down and 20 pixels across. So specifically, why would you want to do something like that? I know I'm beginning to sound like, but why would you want to do something like that? Why would it matter which pixel inside an element you want to click at?
You want to be precise.
I'll give you a good example. How many people at least once used Facebook? Oh no, let's do the opposite. How many haven't? All right, so those of you who haven't will have to bear with me. Probably classmate or whatever in contact or whatever. Google Plus has something similar, but in Facebook you can tag pictures. So you guys know about tagging? So you have your picture and you have multiple of your friends going cheese. And what you can do is you can actually click on a specific location on the picture and it draws a box around it, around that location, and that box becomes the little tag. And every time somebody hovers over with their mouse afterwards in that box, it says the name of the person, right? So in that case, it would actually matter where you placed your click, right? If you want to tag somebody in the picture, you don't want to click the picture, you want to click in the picture at a specific location, because afterwards, it's when you hover over that same location, you should see the name, right? That's how you would test something like this. You would actually say, click at, picture locator, specific pixel, and then later on you would say mouse over, locator, specific pixel, and you would see the name, right? So that's why, same thing for double click at, context menu at, mouse down, up, over, out. Okay, if you want to read more about each of these commands, you go to this link, just like I promised. Here it is. It is exactly, word for word, the same information you will find in your reference tab. So go ahead, have fun if you want to, but it's probably more convenient to do the reference tab. All right, how much time do we have left?
5 minutes.
No, half an hour. 25 minutes. 25 minutes, no hour. Sorry, guys. Frankly, if my tongue is already doing tricks like this on me, you don't want me to talk after 10:30. All right, the fun part. Matching text patterns. So why do we want to match text patterns?
About the cookies, it is able to create where it is stored actually in our machine. That the Selenium does not have any access to our.
It actually, in this case, it actually knows how to go to the location with your cookies and delete them and add them. Yeah, it's like, remember, it's like the back button. It actually knows how to simulate it. Yeah. I'm actually not sure how it does it, but I think it uses the HTTP client, just like your website would, to send a request to add or to send a request to delete and replace. So it actually doesn't physically go to a folder and delete it. It sends an HTTP request or HTTP client something request. And my husband would be a better person to ask about that stuff. Okay, so why do we do patterns? All right, patterns allow us to describe the expected text, not to provide the exact hard-coded text, but to describe sort of what we want to see, right? So for example, welcome admin, right? Well, the next time I may log in as Susie, right? And I don't want to say, oh, welcome admin is displayed. I wanted to say welcome Susie, right? And next time I might log in as, I don't know, Robert. Again, I don't want it to say welcome admin. I want it to say welcome Robert. So I can describe the text as saying welcome, followed by anything, collection of letters, right? So I probably don't want to see 1, 2, 3, but collection of letters, right? That's a pattern. So you're not providing the exact text, you're providing a description of the text. Now, you can use this with not only verified text, verified title, assert, but you can actually also use this with links. You can actually say link text equals and specify matching with the link text. There are 3 ways in Selenium to match patterns, 2.5 really. There is globbing. Now, globbing is the most simplest term, the most simplest form, and it's actually the default. So you don't have to turn it on. It's already turned on. In fact, if Selenium sees certain characters in your code, it immediately assumes that you are matching. Just like today, I put a star, right? I didn't have to do anything special. I didn't have to say, ooh, glob, or ooh, exclamation mark. I just put a star, and it said, I see your star, I know what you mean by your star, right? Earlier today. So that's globbing. Regular expressions, you actually explicitly have to tell Selenium that you're going to be using. And regular expressions are a lot. So if you guys, any of you are Unix users and you have ever used grep or sed or awk or awk, however you want to say it, then you should know what regular expressions are. Now, regular expressions can be very complex. There are very thick books being sold on the topic of writing regular expressions. We're going to learn the very basics, like literally just what you as a QA need to know. And also exact. So exact, remember how I said glob is turned on by default? Well, what if you don't want it turned on by default? What if you really do want to match a star? Not anything or everything, but a star. You want to make sure the text says star. Like you're testing a banking application, right? A banking, and on the banking application it says on the bottom, star. Your APR may increase after blah, blah. Well, you don't want to say blah. You want the star, right? So you would actually say exact, and therefore turn off globbing. Okay, so globbing. There are only 2 characters to remember, which is nice. One of them is star. Now the star is a very special character, which means nothing, or a single character of anything, or any combination of any characters for any length. So nothing and everything. So for example, if you wrote pattern star, right? Pattern star. You could match things like patterns, pattern and more, or just pattern and nothing following it. Right? You would match all of that. The other character, or rather pair of characters, that you should remember is the square brackets. So the opening and the closing. Whatever is inside those square brackets will match once. One of. So if you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it will match either 1 or 2 or 9, but once. So it will not match 12, for example. Just 1 or 2. So translates to match any one character found inside the brackets. Okay. So if I was to put AZ09, what does that mean? Match any one alphanumeric character, right? Any one. or any one digit if you're going to do 0 to 9, or any vowel if you're going to do A, E, I, O, U. How do you use globbing? Well, if you're a stickler for protocol, you can technically append glob to whatever globbing that you do to just make sure everybody understands you are intending to match something, but you don't have to. It's the default. So you can either say something like this, glob, star out, or you can just say star. So in this case, it will match get out, log out, you know, whatever. And in this case, it will match orange HRM, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, woohoo, anything. Right? Make sense? So you can or not put the glob in. It's up to you. Now, in DOS, there's actually also a question mark. We don't have question mark in glob. In glob, there's only square brackets and star. No question mark. So far, so good? Pretty easy, right? All right, let's do regular expressions. My favorite. It's much more versatile than glob. It has many special characters to remember. Here's a little table for you of the most common ones. There's a whole bunch of other stuff like /W for white space or for words and blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about that. We're just using the most basic. Okay, most basic today. So dot. Dot stands for any single character, anything. Anything, a space, another dot, ABC, but one. One of anything. Square brackets stand for any single character that appears inside the brackets, right? So it's very similar to what we saw in glob. But star is a qualifier. So you cannot use star on its own. If you put star on its own, it won't work. It will actually attach itself to whatever is right in front of it. So if you actually want to do the same thing as with glob to match anything 0 or more times, you would actually have to say dot star in regular expressions. Make sense? Because dot means any character, right? And star means 0 to infinity. Similarly, plus is a qualifier. Quantifier. It is 1 to infinity. So, for example, you want to match that there is a word being displayed, right? What is a word? A word is a combination of letters. A is technically a word, right? A. So if you want to match a word A, can you put dot star? Because that will actually give you nothing. It will even match nothing, right? Nothing or anything. But if you put dot plus, you are guaranteeing to yourself that you will have at least A, right? At least. You will also get is and trees and whatever else. But at the very least, you will get one character. Make sense? On the other hand, question mark is the opposite. It is 0 to 1. So you will not get more than 1. So if you say dot question mark, it means you will get either nothing or one character of anything. Make sense? So if you were to draw this, star is 0 to infinity. I'm sorry, infinity is infinity, right? And plus is 1 to infinity. And question mark is 0 to 1, right? So question mark and plus are star. Make sense? So you have 0 to 1, 1 to infinity, and 0 to infinity. Make sense? What if I want to match 2 of something? Or I want to match between 3 and 5 of something? If I want to match something that is not 0 to 1, 1 to infinity, or 0 to infinity, I can specify using curly brackets. Now, curly brackets will allow you to put in 1 or 2 values. So in other words, if I want to match letter A specifically 5 times, I would say A, curly bracket, oh God, they're getting worse. Curly bracket, 5, curly bracket. I don't have to put 5 comma 5, just 5 once. But if I want to match A from 3 to 5 times, I would put A, 3 comma 5. Make sense? If I want to match cat or dog, I would put an or. If I want to match A or B, I would put an or. If I want to match A or B 3 to 5 times. Make sense? But if I want to match cat or dog and I don't put round parentheses around it, what am I really matching?
Dog.
Cat and dog. Okay, dog. Make sense? Because if I don't put parentheses around it, I'm not grouping it, right? So that means I'm actually only differentiating between these characters. Make sense? So be very careful. So that's the last part, the grouping. So you will use it with the and or qualifier to specifically group what are the options you're choosing between. Because if you just provide them as a simple input, it only looks at what's on the left and what's on the right. It doesn't actually look all the way to the word. So far everything is kind of sticking to everybody? So far so good? Okay. Now, regular expressions are case sensitive. That means if you want to match something lowercase, you specifically have to specify all the strings in lowercase. And if you see something that does match the pattern but has an uppercase letter, it will not go through. Unless you specifically say regular expression I, which means insensitive, case insensitive. So regexp I means I don't care about case. But if you do care about case, then regexp is case sensitive. How do you use it? Similar example as before, you're going to say lim equals regexp I, in this case it's insensitive, colon, and then you put in your regular expression. Similarly here, regexp colon, origin cherem dot star. Okay? Technically you could have put regexp over here as well. It's up to you how you want to match it. Okay, let's do an example. How true is this statement? How true is this statement?
Yeah, no, zero.
All right, let's decompose it. Dot star, what does that match? Anything. All right, fine. What about square bracket 0 to 9?
One of those zeros.
All right, any numeric number. And what does this 1 comma 2 mean? Once or twice. Good. Okay, so that means what's our possible combinations?
From 1 to 99.
0, 0 to 99. All right. Does that mean 12 hours?
No.
Actually, it will match 0, 9, 0, 0, 9, 9, right? All right. Colon, all right, fine, colon. 0 to 9 2 times. What is that gonna match? Again, you got your colon and you got 0, 0 or 99. It doesn't look like time at all to me. Does that seem like good time to you? Huh. What about the next part? What's the next part? What is this ape man or app? Okay, so to match one of those two. It's either A followed by M or P followed by M, right? So these are A, M, or PM, right? Right? Okay. Why did they say 1, 2 here, but they didn't say 1, 2 there?
Just one number.
Zero.
What time is it?
22.
What time is it?
Oh, here.
What time is it?
2 hours, 2 minutes.
No, it's not. Can't you plainly see that it's 2 hours and 20 minutes? Somebody would have said 2 hours, 20 minutes. I would have said no. 2 hours and 2 minutes. So you, the second part does need to be 2 digits, right? So they did do correct thing here. There's something funky that happened here. Can we try to fix it? Let's try to fix it. So what are some of the problems here?
Well, for minutes, like we only have to 59.
More greater than 60.
So the first number can only be what?
1, 0, 2.
0 to 1, right? The first one can only be 0 or 1. Okay. And then what?
0, 9.
What about the second one?
0 to 2.
1 to 2.
No, it's 0 to 2.
Okay. What else? What's next?
The next one is
0 to 9.
no. It's 0 to
Alright, I'll stop the torture. You know what, you guys? It's actually a very complex problem. We can spend hours trying to fix it. We still won't be there. I'm just messing with you. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. So as you can see, it will match all of those times, and we actually already realized that it's not precise. This statement is not very precise. Okay. How true is this statement?
Not.
How true is this statement? We'll match any one word in lower, upper, or mixed case. Alright, what about, are they correct about lower, upper, or mixed case? Are they correct? Who agrees about lower, upper, and mixed? Who agrees? Okay, so those of you who agree are correct because this has an I. It's case insensitive. What about any one word? What's a word?
combination of letters.
Right. So this is not a human word. This is a computer word. And a computer word is basically any combination of characters without spaces. You guys agree? So because this has A to Z and there are no spaces, technically, yes, you can have 700 letters strung together. As long as there's no spaces, it's a word. Now, that's all nice and good. What does this mean? What does this mean? This actually means beginning of line. Beginning of line. So if a line has 3 words in it, it will not match because between the beginning of the line and the end of the line, there's actually 2 more spaces, right? But if a whole line contains nothing but combinations of letters, it will match. So it's going to say, look from the beginning of the line, make sure there's only letters in there, and it immediately ends with the end of the line. So the $sign means end of the line. But what happened to this part? What is this? This says match any one word. What is this?
Anything in there.
This means nothing, right? Nothing. So will it always match one word? Sometimes we'll just not match anything. Nothing. Right? So this is not very correct. So how could we fix this? How could we fix this to make it match one word plus instead of a star? Right. In that case, we at least are able to match a C or an A, or it's not a real word, but it's a word. Okay. So that's good. One more thing to add. If this character appears inside the square brackets, it actually means not. So if I'm to move this character inside the square brackets, it would actually mean any combination of numbers, spaces, special characters that are not A to Z. Make sense? So be very careful where this thing goes. This means beginning, this means not. So it will actually match hello in all uppercase, cheese in all lowercase, or anti-disestablishmentarianism. And every single time I try to give a definition, somebody looks it up and says, no, you're wrong. It's an establishment against establishments. If you look it up and I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I always forget what it means. Anti-disestablishment. Okay. It's an establishment against not having establishments? Anyways, okay. You can look it up. But it's a real word. It's the longest English word. The longest real English word that's not supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, because that's not a real word. Okay? So it will match all of those things. All right, let's do the last one. What will this match?
Anything preceding that phrase.
Okay, so what will it match?
Something related.
Alice thinks fish make great pets. Period. What else?
Cats, dogs,
Ellie,
cats.
It doesn't have to be Ellie. What about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Things. Dogs make great pets. Exclamation mark.
Nothing in the beginning.
Why exclamation mark?
There's a period at the
There's a period at the end. So yeah, this is actually the most common mistake people make. They write a sentence and they say period. And a period is not a period. It's a special character. So in this case, if you really truly want to match a period, you want to actually escape it. And you do that with a backslash. And if you want to escape a backslash, you put 2 backslashes. You backslash a backslash. What is a backslash, you might ask? It's this thing that goes this way instead of this way. This is a backslash. That's a forward slash. I always get confused, so it's okay if you do too.
Do quotation marks have any effect on precision?
Quotation marks.
Like in Boolean queries, you know, you put
I'm
something.
not sure actually. I guess it also depends on the language, like JavaScript versus Java versus whatever. I don't know. And nobody thinks cats make great pets, question mark, right? Match all of those. Now the last one is the easiest one, nothing much to remember. Whenever you want to match something that's already a reserved character, you just want to say exact. In this case, you only have to worry about stars and square brackets because those are globs, right? In Selenium ID. So in this case, if you were to match something like this, star star, not for resale, you would actually put exact star star.